Tumekula, tumeshiba.
Tuendelee. Fakii? Chicken wings zilikuwa poa. Umekula at least?
Sana. I think hata nataka wanipakie zingine
nibebe. Tutawaambia. So, we've left this story at a very interesting point. Transition now your entry into Coke. You've turned, hey, you guys, you had good problems as we are saying in Dero. Problems are 4 job offers in a short span like that. Okay, so now let's start talking about Coke.
Yeah.
So you and Alovi both get the job.
So we both get the job. We both go and serve our notices. At this time, Alovi was at Nation. And so the giggle that he when he giggled when I told him that time when I wanted to join Nation was because he knew that the job at that point was a bit shaky because the brand was not concrete, yeah. So we both serve our notices, me at Ogilvy, him at Nation. Then we join Coke. So we join Coke on Tuesday. We do our orientation, but then
it was just the two of you joining, or were there other guys?
Later in that week, there's a lady called Isabel who joined. She had come from Diageo in the UK, actually. So I think we were supposed to do a 1 or 2 week orientation, which included even going on the field, going to the bottlers and things like that.
Yeah.
But then it was cut short because either on that Wednesday or Thursday, the company marketing team was leaving for Diani for what they call a marketing kickoff. It's like to plan the year in marketing. So every year there used to be a marketing kickoff at the beginning of the year. So at that point it was done right after Easter. So we joined, we got to meet all the teams, we got to understand the business. And one thing Coke does is they get you to really, really understand the business. And then apart from just working there, there's something internal for employees called the Coca-Cola University. The Coca-Cola University is online. It's an online learning portal where employees have access to different modules, like different things that you want to learn. So, and Coca-Cola had a system. I think it's one of the most brilliant HR practices that I've come across. Coca-Cola have a system whereby when you get in, and then every year after, you actually have a conversation with your boss, and you can also have the conversation with someone from HR. You look at a position that you'd be aiming for in the future, and then in the system, you get to learn what modules you'd need to take that can steer you to that position.
Hey, that's cool.
So it was a very important portal in the Coca-Cola system, and it's what made me drop from Kenyatta University when I was getting my degree. Because as time went on, the things that I was doing at work, the things that I could learn from that portal compared to what we're learning at KU, huge disparity. This was way behind. So I dropped it. And then at that point I was like, actually the reason I got into it was to try and get into Safaricom. And now that is gone and I'm here. So, you know.
That's not gone. That I turned down. difference. Okay, so tell me, what are you doing at Coke?
So
just hold on. Let him shunga that light over there. There is a girl seeing the nitty-gritties. Sani metokelezea.
Oh.
Okay, so Fakii, what was your role at Coke? What exactly were you doing?
So my role at Coke was assets and experiential manager. And remember, we had gotten into this same role with Alovi. So the main assets, remember I told you about the 4 passion points: music, football, politics and religion. And of course, brands don't get into politics and religion, so music and football. So I was handling football, while Alovi was handling music.
So
remember the program that I'd talked about when I was at Capital FM that we were
Yes.
handling, which was the Coca-Cola, which was the football tournament for guys in school. And then remember my experience at Airtel Rising Stars, the football tournament. So that this came full circle.
Now, so for sure, this is the best guy at it.
I was the agency. Now I'm the client. So I was in charge of Coca-Cola. In the at that time when we were starting, it was in the 30 countries, 30 markets that we were handling. And then Alovi was in charge of Coke Studio, also for Africa.
So was he the one who started Coke Studio?
No, Coke Studio
had been started before.
I think it had been started before.
Actually, it's Sanders.
Sanders was a supplier. Because I know they worked together. I'm trying to remember if Coke Studio had started before or it started at that point. I can't remember. But anyway.
Actually, it had started before. Do you know how I know? Karun and Octopizzo were on it. So that was that before time. Because you're talking about 2015. Yeah. Okay, anyway, maybe. Anyway, tuendelee tu.
So
now you're doing.
So I'm doing Coca-Cola Pops. I'm doing Coca-Cola, managing it in those markets. But there was also other things that we were doing. So for example, there's a campaign. Let me call it a sampling campaign, where you're trying to introduce new consumers to the drink. So there's something called the perfect serve. It's a Coca-Cola thing. It's called a perfect serve, where
hey bro, so they inducted you well.
you teach people how to serve the perfect Coca-Cola. Like how many degrees, the angle, how to pour, especially if you're giving someone to try it for the first time. So that while I was doing football and he was doing music, we were both doing that perfect serve campaign, running around all the markets.
And okay, just break it down. How do you do like the perfect serves?
So, I don't know if I'll remember how to do this perfect serve.
No, not in terms of pouring it, but from working logistics. Okay, what are you doing?
So the idea is you figure out your target audience. So at that point, the target audience was teens. So how do you get teens to sample Coca-Cola? Now, it still goes into the football and music properties that we were doing, but you still create now activations or opportunities where you have the perfect serve campaign running. So what happens is you get an agency to do that campaign, and you give them a target where you say you have to sample 1 million Cokes within a certain period of time. So now they come up with a plan of, we'll do this, we'll go to this event, we can sponsor this event, or we can do this, we can do this. So now our work started with, because Alovi and I had both had interactions with agencies. So our work...
So actually I had this from somebody from agency. That thing of 1 million, 1 million serves to the teens.
So our work was to find the experiential agencies to do these activations in the different countries. But now it starts with, so from the global office, Atlanta, there's a perfect serve Bible that comes, like how to do this, So now our work was to customize one for Africa.
I get it.
And of course, Monali was our lead in that. So,
and let's be clear, this time the headquarters of Coke in Africa, is it SA and here?
So at that point, when we joined, it was Coca-Cola, Central, East, and West Africa. So North Africa was on its own. Then Central and South Africa was on its own. So for us was South Africa was on its own. So for us it was East, Central, Coca-Cola, Central, East, and West Africa. So we're carrying 30 markets.
Heesh.
Yeah.
And by markets, you mean countries?
Countries, yes.
Yeah.
So, so whatever we were doing, then we had to apply to all these markets. And you work with the brand managers in all these markets. So, of course, Monali was our lead, and she was good with creating these Bibles, and she taught us how to do it. So you customize it for Africa.
Then you have to customize it for the different markets.
Then you have to customize it for the different markets, and then you also get input from the different markets to help you customize it very specifically to them. And then now, what we did also was you create a template that all experiential agencies will use in terms of. So let me give you an example, and I hope it can be appreciated, especially from a business point of view. One of the major things that we ended up being able to do as a team. So you see, as a business, whatever activations you're doing, you have to look at the cost versus the impact. Now, we used to judge it, and we used to have a thing that we call cost per contact. So how much is it costing us to talk to
one
each person,
yeah,
to interact with one person? So at that point, for the perfect serve, the cost per contact was about $4.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Now, because Monali, Alovi, and I, we were our judges in terms of knowing our way around agencies, plus also by this time we had especially experience with brands like Airtel. We had known how to create efficiencies.
Yes.
And this is the beauty of Coca-Cola. In creating the efficiencies, you end up growing your partners who are the experiential agencies. Let me give you a quick example. So if you're an experiential agency and you have a lot of promise, so I'll tell you, I want to give you this job for 3 years. But when we look at your maths and we look at your cost of hiring a truck for doing activations, this is the cost. So let me give you a contract for 3 years so you can buy a truck.
Oh.
But because you've bought a truck, now the cost that you charge me has to be lower. You can charge your other clients higher, but you charge me lower. Yeah. Because you're doing activations in different regions of the country, one of the costs was hiring warehouses in the different countries, because now as an agency we give you a lot of merchandise material to go with, and you have to figure out how to store it in the different markets. Now in the different regions. Now if I tell you I'm giving you a 3-year contract,
go buy those.
Go buy those warehouses,
and
or
you can even pay
for longer. Go pay for longer so they give you
cheaper
deal. Now in between, when we are not using it as a client, so you can use it with your other clients, which means you have some cost savings. So for your warehousing costs, you charge us lower. Long story short, remember that cost per contact of $4? It came down to 60 cents.
Yo, 60 cents.
Do you know how you shine when you report such a thing to Global?
I thought you were at least going to tell me $2.
No.
60 cents.
60 cents. Because we had a tough boss called Radi. So Radi and plus Monali, they gave us a target, and they told us, guys, this thing has to come down to less than $1. So it got to 60 cents.
So your
agencies initially didn't like us because of that, but I'm on this side now. This is where my bread is buttered. So yeah.
That's crazy.
But it worked. I mean, the agency still
now
made
you
money.
are. Who was that guy you were telling me in Airtel? Who was your boss?
Obina.
Now you're Obina.
Yeah, now we're Obina
for your agency.
Yes. Yes. Kabisa.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But and did you go back work with the same agencies that people you were interacting with?
A lot. Because now here's the other thing. Remember, my bro is still working at Sound.
Yeah. And he's king of activations.
Yes. Now one of the beauties about Coca-Cola is when you're getting in, I can't remember what that process is called, but when you're getting in, you have to declare.
Yeah, disclose.
You have to declare that I have this and this and this, you know. So for example, I declared that, number one, I worked at Sound before. So I know the people plus the bosses and he's my friend. Number two, my brother works there. So what that means is that whenever Sound is pitching for something at Coke, I cannot sit on that table.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just that at that point we couldn't say it, but I remember there was even a blog that said that I was giving Sound work from Coca-Cola because my bro is there and Kev is my boy. Yeah. But I was not included up to the last minute. I was not included. In fact, my last year at Coke, I ended up working with Sound, but it was after a decision had been made by other people without me, as in I was removed from that decision making. Then now I was brought in after the decision had been made that you go with these guys. Because that's how strict Coke is. Coke is very strict on dealings.
I mean, this is one of the largest international companies in the world.
Yeah.
But did you ever go to Atlanta?
And remember, they're publicly listed. So there are rules about how they operate. I didn't get a chance to go to Atlanta. Maybe if I stayed long, I would have. Alovi went.
Okay.
Because he stayed longer than me. Anyway, so
tell me a bit about the working then doing this project, the football project.
Coca-Cola.
First, clearly, it's not the TA.
Let me tell you, before even that, when I joined, we joined in April. So when we did this Perfect Serve thing, we were so fast in learning how to do it, put it together and all. I don't know what. I think Alovi was in the thick of Coke Studio already at that point. So then, sometime in June, Monali tells me, now that you've learned how to do this whole Perfect Serve thing, there's a bottler you need to train. So me, I'm waiting to be told, either it's Nairobi bottlers, or maybe you'll have to go to Coastal bottlers, or told, But then this is month 3 of my job. Told, Mauritius. So I went to Mauritius on my 3rd month at Coke.
Yeah.
Yani, you know, that experience was amazing.
Yep.
Because Mauritius is that country you want to go on holiday. And now the beauty of this is when I was going, we pictured that I would need about 3-4 days to do the thing there. But I did it in 1.5 days.
Sure.
Then I was just chilling. So I was just chilling, waiting to see, will they call me? Do they need anything more? So I was just chilling. So at least I enjoyed at least one full free day at a beach hotel in Mauritius before coming back to Kenya.
Yep.
Then Coca-Cola was such that at the end of the tournament, would pick kids from the different countries to go for a training camp. Remember when I was at Airtel, we used to do the same thing, but the training camp was somewhere in Africa.
And someone comes to...
Yeah. Someone comes. Now, in 2015, we went to France.
What?
Yes, we went to France in 2015.
What team?
No, it wasn't even a team. It was actually... So what happened is different individuals picked from different countries all over the world, all converged in France. So I was in charge of taking the ones from Africa. So I took, I think, about 16 kids to France. So I took them together with someone. There's a lady we were working with in TZ. And then we went with a coach from Kenya, from one of the schools in Kenya, as well as an official from the Kenya Secondary School Sports Association, because we're working with them. So we took 16 kids to France.
When I asked what team I meant, did you connect with any French team? Of course.
No, we didn't connect with a French team. No, sorry. It wasn't France. I think it was Germany.
But when you were crisscrossing the world, you forgot.
Hey, Coke, I crisscrossed the world. I think it was Germany. I think it was Germany because I remember why it wasn't France. I think it was Germany. 2015. Then 2016, we did the same thing. And this time now is when we went to France because there was the
World Cup.
Euro Cup in France 2016.
No, yeah, that World Cup wasn't done.
So we even went for I think a quarter-final game at the stadium.
Jeez.
So we used to take, so my job involved going around the different countries, checking on them, checking on how they're executing Coca-Cola. Sometimes I would go to the different countries for the Perfect Serve campaign. And then I think once I even took Alovi for a Coke Studio gig in Ethiopia, I think.
Okay, there's something that you've said that has sort of made me understand something that I didn't understand, but I'd like more clarity. So when you talked about these passion points, you talked about food, politics, religion, those two are a no-no, and then you talked about football, music and football.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen Airtel do this, Safaricom the other day with their Chapadimba, taking guys, even is it Rio, Brazil or something?
Yeah.
So explain to me this whole concept. Are you telling me all brands of a certain scale have a football asset, and the core reason for that football asset is to penetrate into the youth market?
Yes.
But isn't soccer so male driven that I know now they are playing a few women games, but I'm wondering.
So it's male driven. I don't know. I'm sure there's a marketing or research way to answer you better. But as much as it's male driven, you see, like when we're doing it in schools, there was almost equal participation between males and females at that point.
Okay.
And it's more about the aspect of also bringing people together to watch the games. If you look at the World Cup campaign by Coca-Cola in 2018, and I think also 2014.
Were you there during any of this World Cup movements?
We're coming to that. Kwanza, there's a big story there. In fact, now I have an opportunity to
let it out.
to put the record straight.
Okay, sir.
So, if you notice, Coca-Cola in those 2 years was always big about getting the other people interested. And by other, I mean, whether there's a brand or not, there's people who watch football. So if you're a football fan, there's nothing I'm trying to sell to you about World Cup. But what I want to do as Coca-Cola is I want to sell the occasion of football to your wife so that she sees how big it is, so that when you're getting ready to watch, when she's doing shopping,
she grabs a Coke. Yeah. You get. I know it's far. It's far, but it makes sense.
But also, we are trying to sell to her that this thing is a once in 4 years experience, and it's so big. If you don't watch the weekly Man United or Chelsea or Arsenal games with your hubby, World Cup, join him.
I get it. I get it. It's like what am I? Oh yeah, when you're trying to propose, subliminally it's already been put into your mind. Get a diamond.
Yes.
You get?
Yes.
But who said proposing and diamonds is the way that you can use a string? Okay, maybe you see, even if I say you can use a string, women will probably shoot me for that comment because subliminal advertising marketing has been so strong. And when I think about Coke, I think about Safaricom. You wonder why across the country you see those two colors, red and green, in the middle of nowhere. Okay. So I understand these passion points. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you the questions that I asked Sam Gishuru, because now umefika your level your career where you're crisscrossing the country. This from the external perspective sounds so exciting, whatever, but saa zingine ni kazi, and does it take a toll on your life?
It does.